Welcome to step number one. Prepare yourself for the journey. Hi, my name is Joy Yarber, and I'm your co-host for this empowering training series. There's such a wealth of information regarding step number one, we decided to divide this into 4 parts. So you don't want to miss the other parts of your explorations that are packed with valuable insights and practical tips as well. When explorers are preparing for a journey, they make sure that they're ready for the challenges that lie ahead. This includes knowing exactly where you're headed and why. You must ensure that you and all your fellow travelers are properly equipped for the journey. In step one, part one, we'll explore the following. Number one, why most communities struggle to find solutions for rapidly increasing and complex challenges. Number two, we'll show you the difference between incremental and transformative change. Knowing this could revolutionize your approach in transforming the lives of children, adults, and families. And number three, we'll show you the progressive phases of transformation and their outcomes. Okay, let's get started. Here's Mike.
Welcome to Step 1, Part 1. I mentioned in the introduction to the training series that each step presented will have a key challenge, action steps, and measurable results. Your key challenge for Step 1 is to make sure that you are well equipped with knowledge and wisdom about issues, challenges, and possibilities that will accompany you on your journey. Your action steps will involve taking time to listen and learn from others who are already engaged in their journey with their community. We can point you in the direction of community stakeholders who welcome opportunity to share their own experiences with you. Our website, collectivecommunityimpact.com, lists many innovative pioneers who are strong advocates for care networking and transformation. Regarding measurable results, you will be encouraged, inspired, and driven to share what you are learning with others in your community. I strongly encourage you to prepare yourself before you position yourself as a public advocate and pioneer for comprehensive coordinated care. Properly equip yourself with knowledge and wisdom regarding collective community impact. This will help you face certain challenges in opposition to change from others who lack vision and are unaware of emerging trends and innovative best practices for community care. In the 1987 movie entitled The Untouchables, there is a life-changing dialogue between veteran Chicago police officer Jim Malone and federal prohibition agent Elliot Ness. Malone, played by Sean Connery, confronts Elliot Ness, played by Kevin Costner, with a challenge. Ness wants so much to win the battle against criminal activities in Chicago, but he is not sure how far he is willing to go. Malone asks Ness a simple question which challenges thinking and acting. He says, "What are you prepared to do?" After much contemplation, Elliot Ness accepts the challenge with great passion and immediately takes steps to make things happen. And of course, history was in the making. When we make presentations to stakeholders across the country, I often wonder, what are you, along with others in your community, really prepared or willing to do? Many people in the room appear to be very interested in what we share, but who will take the next steps to make things happen? We have discovered that community stakeholders truly want to make a difference, but still question their personal engagement. They require time and effort that is needed to be effective and successful. Most of the time, it is not based on the why, but the how to. Oftentimes, stakeholders are unclear as how to successfully build capacity for a better together community. Surprisingly, most communities have never ventured down the path toward collective community impact. Most stakeholders tell us that they did not know it was possible. And when we tell them that it is, many stakeholders are encouraged and willing to explore possibilities with what is commonly called cautious optimism. As mentioned in the introduction, we are discovering that most community stakeholders advocate for a healthier, happier, and a more meaningful life for everyone in their community. This is the desire of neighbors, community and faith-based leaders, educators, elected officials, and more. We realize that you may have heard this lofty vision from diverse community stakeholders before, including organizational, government, and political leaders. Unfortunately, this translated as rhetoric, with little or no evidence of measurable success. This oftentimes causes people to be cynical and mistrustful of any conversations about people working together. But this is changing and can become reality if a community will take the necessary steps to make it happen. These steps are transformative processes that we suggest are working in communities across the country. These processes are not rocket science, but they will require lots of courage, hard work, and persistence in making them a win-win results for everyone involved. Most likely it will take months or years for your community to develop an effective context for collective community impact. You will need time to discover, develop, and deploy new capacity-building tools that are useful for creating and sustaining change, progress, and growth. We encourage stakeholders to liken their journey to a marathon and not a sprint to the finish line. Keep your pace steady and slow enough for everyone to follow along with you and experience surprise and wonder together. You, along with others, may plant the seeds of systemic change. Other stakeholders will come along to water and nurture change. Eventually, systemic change will break ground, producing evidence-based results that everyone can see. The more change is nurtured, the more it becomes strong and welcoming. In time, all the community stakeholders involved in planting and nurturing will rejoice and harvest the fruits of their labors. I am confident that if you and others will journey towards comprehensive coordinated care, no matter how long it takes, you will see remarkable results, and lives of many children, adults, and families will be transformed. So, you may be thinking, what are some motivating factors that encourage communities to make changes or do things differently than they have done before? Many times this happens because of a disaster caused by a tornado, hurricane, flooding, or fire. Disaster relief and recovery can involve many helping agencies, civic leaders, and months of responsive actions. Other times, change happens because of economic downturns, causing increased unemployment and underemployment, where people are working but still are unable to make ends meet. This happens when there are not enough jobs paying living wages. This unfortunate situation can fuel poverty, hunger, and social determinants of health that impact communities for many years. We have also seen how inescapable social and health-related challenges, like COVID-19, have caused community stakeholders to make changes. Many of the food banks and pantries that we serve have completely altered the way they distribute emergency food. Most have gone to parking lot distributions where people drive up in their car and receive groceries. If I were to suggest a common motivating factor for change, it would be a sense of urgency. Having said this, we are learning that some stakeholders suggest that everything is fine in their communities, or at least it seems to be. Unfortunately, fragmentation, fueled by isolation and self-interest, can blind people and organizations to deep-rooted problems that people would rather not talk about. We have heard misguided stakeholders say poverty, hunger, and other challenges are all being handled by a couple of helping agencies and the government in our community, there is no need to be concerned. May I suggest that a lack of realistic awareness and response can be catastrophic to a community's future. Since the dawn of the 21st century, it seems that a lot of changes have happened, and they seem to be picking up speed. Many of these changes are impacting our lives, our work, and especially our communities, which are having to face more and greater degree of complex challenges. Complexity is complicating the efforts of community-based organizations and civic leaders who are striving to find simple and lasting solutions in the face of an uncertain future. John Carter, Harvard professor and change expert, says, "Today, in a more complex and rapidly evolving 21st century, when we put a person designed for a world long gone into an organization that was not designed for this century, we regularly see too slow a pace of change in the face of uncertainty. We see too painful a process as individuals and organizations try to deal with inevitable transformation challenges. We get too little, too slowly in terms of needed results, even though that deficit is not always obvious. The struggle is today's reality and potentially tomorrow's catastrophe." Carter then follows up this statement by saying, "But it doesn't have to be this way. Much more is possible." I will talk more about these possibilities in Step 3 and 4. Unfortunately, rapid change and uncertainty are creating a growing gap between lasting solutions and a community's effective response to constantly changing and complex challenges. The helping systems, policies, and problem-solving strategies adopted by communities in the past can no longer keep pace with unrelenting rapid change now. Albert Einstein once said, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them." In other words, outdated solutions will not work for contemporary and ever-changing complex challenges. We must be innovative in our thinking and acting. We must be realistic about what needs to be preserved, changed, or created. Rick Schmeier, international consultant and author of Building Capacities for Community Transformation, also says, "If we use old ways of thinking, old ways of acting, and old ways of organizing our strategies, we will not be ready for the present or the future. Unless we begin to search for new ideas, methods, and techniques, we will find we cannot move fast enough, be trustful enough of each other, have enough different solutions available, or understand the realities of constantly changing situations." We have discovered that visionary community stakeholders often face realities and challenges that can hinder their advocacy and actions, especially when encouraging others to explore new ways of thinking and acting. We are discovering that it is often hard to successfully grab hold of a promising future while holding tightly to the past. This can apply to people, organizations, institutions, and communities. They all can get stuck in outdated traditions and heritage-driven approaches which are good for years past, but for today have lost touch with the relevant development of authentic, effective, and lasting solutions. Keep in mind that when given opportunity to share your advocacy and passion for change, try not to get stuck answering questions that most people are not asking anymore. A few slides back, you got a glimpse of transformative processes or landmarks in a community's journey to comprehensive coordinated care. These are important in making a difference. However, there is a vital challenge that will determine the success of your journey. Peter Block, nationally recognized community developer, paints the big picture of what communities must do to move the needle on complex challenges. He said, The essential challenge is to transform the isolation and self-interest within our communities into connectiveness and caring for the whole. We begin by shifting our attention from the problems of community to the possibility of community. The solution that Block refers to is empowered by systemic change. This involves comprehensive and transformative processes that are less about improving what is and more about creating what isn't. What this means is that many communities are trying to use outdated traditions, trite solutions, and status quo thinking to solve contemporary problems. Transformation oftentimes requires a new context and culture that is favorable for change, progress, and growth. This context may be described as a community-focused environment or a capacity-building civic framework supported by cultural values that define what is important or matters the most. This new context should support innovation, invite broader civic engagement, encourage open and honest dialogue, and allow collective community impact to emerge and develop. And it must invite inclusive participation from the public, private, and social community sectors. This sets the stage for an authentic community conversation and cross-sector collaboration about transforming people's lives. I am excited to say that community conversations are happening across the country, creating a new battle cry among visionary stakeholders. They are shouting it from the rooftops that now is the time for us to learn how to work together for common good and greater impact. For most community stakeholders, it is becoming more apparent that no one person, organization, or government agency has all the information, skills, or resources necessary to address increasingly complex challenges, let alone develop and implement effective and lasting solutions. Visionary stakeholders believe that now is the time for neighbors, churches, charities, businesses, elected officials, and others to come together to make sense of the changes that impact their community. They also realize it is very important to better understand people's needs and then develop lasting solutions to meet these needs through collective action. Visionary stakeholders also suggest that we cannot keep doing the same things over and over again and expect different results. That's insane. We must invest in authentic systemic change because what we do today will impact how well our children and grandchildren will handle their world tomorrow. If our goal is transformed lives and communities, we should begin by understanding what transformation really looks like. I have listed 3 definitions of transformation taken from various dictionaries. The Cambridge Dictionary defines transformation as a complete change in the appearance or character of something or someone. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines transformation as an act, process, or instance of transforming or being transformed. I really like how the Business Dictionary defines transformation. In an organizational context, a process of profound and radical change that orients an organization in a new direction and takes it to an entirely different level of effectiveness. Unlike turnaround, which implies incremental progress on the same plane, transformation implies a basic change of character and little or no resemblance with the past configuration or structure. Based on what we were learning, these definitions paint a big picture look at transformation. I believe that transformation is not about taking old things, polishing them up, and making them look brand new. This suggests that the life and beauty of the original has lost its luster and needs a fresh makeover. Yes, makeovers can make things look better on the outside, but on the inside, things are probably still the same. We are learning that transformed lives and communities are embedded with at least 3 fundamentals: change, progress, and growth. Let us look deeper into these. When it comes to transforming lives and communities, understanding the difference between incremental and transformative change is very useful. A growing number of experts suggest that incremental change may well be counterproductive for transforming lives and communities. This is because people in need, along with the helping agencies that serve them, are not equipped to handle deeply entrenched dysfunctionalities like generational poverty, health disparities, or chronic destructive behavior, things that can drag on for years. Incremental changes are not powerful enough to transform people's lives. Robert Quinn, author of Deep Change, Discovering the Leader Within, writes, "Incremental change is usually limited in scope and is often reversible. If the change does not work out, we can always return to the old way. Incremental change usually does not disrupt our past patterns. It is an extension of the past. Most important, during incremental change, we feel we are in control." Quinn also says deep change or transformative change differs from incremental change in that it requires new ways of thinking and behaving. It is change that is major in scope, discontinuous with the past, and generally irreversible. The deep change effort distorts existing patterns of action and involves taking risks. Deep change means surrendering control. It is worth repeating here that transformation is less about improving what is and more about creating what isn't. Incremental change can be short-sighted because of a lack of vision for transformative change. Most of the helping agencies that we serve did not know until recently that it was even possible to really transform a person's life, so they would settle for, let's do what we can to help right now, and then hope things work out for those we serve. The vision for transformative change is about supporting people as they create their own unique pathway from crisis to sustainability to abundant living. It's about realized hopes and dreams. Incremental change tends to focus more on fixing the problem or improving someone else's current troublesome situation. But this does not alter core values or behavior like transformative change does. Consider individuals who strive for a healthy lifestyle but continually struggle with poor eating habits and a lack of exercise. They make New Year's resolutions. I've done it. And they do good for a while. But then life takes a sharp turn and they fall off the wagon. Then they say, I will try again when my life becomes less stressful. When does that really happen? How about organizations that want to grow, but cannot seem to get people excited anymore? They try hiring new people and rearranging offices, hoping that this will spark something new. This does not work because many organizational cultures are often bound by outdated traditions, policies, and procedures. And most are hampered by cumbersome work processes that maintain status quo, leaving little space for creative enterprise. Or think about a town that is slowly turning into a retirement community, even though the younger generation is quite opposed to this. So to appease the younger folks, city officials renovate a park in the downtown area, hoping to breathe new life into the whole community for generations to come. But what about new jobs and economic growth, a desired future that most people want? Instead of just fixing problems with quick fixes or temporary solutions, transformative change focuses more on ending the problem with sustainable solutions. Also, the momentum is quite different. Incremental change involves small steps and minor adjustments, whereas transformative change involves giant leaps and significant breakthroughs. I am excited to say that new breakthroughs in technology and capacity building tools are now paving the way for giant leaps in combating poverty, hunger, and other complex community challenges. And this is happening because people, organizations, and institutions are engaged in systemic or transformative change. Getting back to differences, incremental change can be easier to work or much safer to handle, especially for those who are afraid of change. Transformative change is much harder to coordinate and will often require risks and alter core thinking and behavior. But I assure you that it is worth the effort pursuing productive, life-changing results. The method behind incremental change in most communities is a social service model, which usually is a single-focused or silo-driven approach with isolated impact. Unfortunately, this fragments care and leaves wide gaping holes in a community's social service safety net, which is caused by siloed service gaps. The method of transformative change is a social change model, supported by a comprehensive approach to transforming people's lives. This is where a whole community gets involved in a holistic approach to helping people achieve a better quality of life and brighter future. Think about it. If you and your family were living in generational poverty for years and wanted out, which kind of change offers the most promise and hope? Think about the significant difference between the following answers to a simple question. How's life treating you? Some would say, well, things are a little better, and that's okay, I guess. Whereas a transformed life would say, things are great, much different than before, and I'm thrilled. So, which sounds like the best outcome? Transformation is also very progressive, a constant moving forward. As I mentioned in an earlier video, I like to view transformation as a journey that holds great promise for discovering, developing, and deploying innovative ways of thinking and acting. A journey highlighted by aha moments and life-changing experiences. I believe that given an inviting picture of a desirable outcome and a simple roadmap to follow, most people will make the journey without hesitation. I do not believe that transformation is a state that we eventually arrive at. It is a progressive process of growth. Like a tree, it keeps getting taller and broader in its reach, and let's not forget about the root system that's going deeper and wider in the ground year after year. As growth successfully continues, it will eventually produce fruit, visible evidence that transformation is happening. As you engage with others in the community, keep in mind that if stakeholders are unable to see the need for transformation, your advocacy and actions will have limited results. This can easily be resolved by gathering valuable information, data, and reports that substantiate the need for developing lasting solutions. Your next step is to develop a communication strategy that creates greater awareness for community challenges and possible solutions. This will most likely involve a lot of one-on-one conversations, group presentations, and media. You may be able to handle this all by yourself, but we encourage you to enlist the help of others who share your same passion and vision. The following illustration describes, in a practical way, how a person, organization, and community can see and experience transformation through progressive phases with measurable outcomes. Phase 1 is informational. I see what you're saying and I get it. I must be able to wrap my head around this information and how it may impact my personal life. I must be given time to digest what I'm learning and then decide what to do. Phase 2 is inspirational. I believe it and I feel it. The need for change is beginning to sink deep into my heart and emotions, impacting my beliefs, values, and attitude. My passion for change is getting stronger. Phase 3 is motivational. It's worth it, and I want it now. I have decided that the price to pay for transformation is well worth my time and effort. A sense of urgency now exists. My behavior and actions will speak for themselves. Phase 4 is transformational. I like what's happening to me. My new ways of thinking and acting are making a profound difference, and it's noticeable. I enjoy my new ways of living and feel compelled to share my personal experience with others. Once the progressive phases fully develop, transformation then becomes transferable. People who are part of your everyday life will take notice of the changes that are happening. Some people will verbally affirm your positive change. Other people will be warmly inspired and consider the benefits of transformation for their lives. Once transformation has had time to take shape, you should keep pressing on.
Hey, thank you, Mike. How far are you willing to go? The first step I suggest is to have a very brutal assessment and evaluation to this question, how it applies to you and what you'll need to do. Ask yourself this question: are you willing to start the community conversations that will be required? This will require phone calls, emails, sometimes meeting with potential stakeholders face to face. If you answered yes, then you're understanding that this is a marathon, not a sprint. There will be challenges, and this will require a lot of action on your part. I'll share this story with you. We received a phone call from an advocate in Bryan, Texas. She asked, was it possible to bring Charity Tracker in to unite her community agencies so that they could all work together? That was her question. She had the perfect vision for her community. She knew exactly what she wanted to do. I asked her, though, how willing was she to do the work to move this forward? She said, whatever it takes. She was willing to make phone calls, send emails, meet with interested stakeholders to create the awareness for her vision. And she did exactly that. Today, there is a Charity Tracker network in Bryan, Texas because of her work, and it's thriving. It's one of the best representations of cross-sector collaboration that we have. She knew exactly what she was in for. She made an assessment as to the work that needed to be done, and this is an important first step. It's important because it's not easy, but it is so worth it. Thanks for taking time to better understand transformation. In this session, we explored the need for change and the fundamentals of transformation. In step 1, part 2, we'll continue with a better understanding of transformative processes and explore different types of helping systems that are active in communities. I'd like to remind you once again that each step builds upon each other. It's like putting together pieces of a puzzle. As these pieces connect, a big picture slowly emerges, eventually creating an aha moment or an awakening to important realities. For more information about this training series, you can give us a call at area code 256-764-0633 or send an email to joey@simonsolutions.com or mike@simonsolutions.com. We're honored that you are watching this training series.